Trae ustedes la fiesta latina este sábado 23 de enero en el Tower Hotel. Vengan y disfruten de las mejores vibras latinas con DJ Rafael, DJ Víctor, DJ Kinky, presentaciones de cantantes locales de música urbana y el DJ más esperado de la fiesta, DJ Carlitos Bronco. Este sábado 23 de enero la fiesta latina, piscinada en el Tower Hotel. Para más información comunícate vía normal o WhatsApp al 608-1610. Pégate ya.
Todo bien, todo bueno, todo bueno, todo bueno, todo bien.
This is the news on top of the hour.
Live from our studio in Georgetown.
Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 FM.
Good evening, welcome to this evening's newscast. I am Kevin Smith. Let's get to the news in detail. Rosen Law Firm, a global investor rights law firm, announced yesterday that it has launched an investigation of potential securities claims on behalf of ExxonMobil's shareholders. The probe stems from allegations that the oil titan may have issued materially misleading business information regarding its Permian Basin asset to the investing public. On January 15, 2021, the Wall Street Journal reported that the U.S. Securities Commission probe is premised on a whistleblower complaint that during a 2019 internal assessment, workers were forced to use unrealistic assumptions about how quickly wells in the Permian Basin could be drilled to reach a higher valuation, and that at least one worker who complained about the assumptions was fired. And moving on, ExxonMobil is planning for 10 floating production, storage and offloading vessels, or FPSO vessels, offshore Guyana. With those 10 FPSOs, former EPA Director Dr. Vincent Adams projects that the oil giant would be dumping about 2 million barrels of toxic produced water into Guyana's pristine ocean, if Guyana allows it. Produced water is a term used in the oil industry to describe water that is produced during the extraction of oil and natural gas. Dr. Adams indicated that based on his perusal of data from the Payara environmental permit, Exxon is expected to dump 200,000 barrels of produced water per day. Multiply that by 10, and Dr. Adams indicates that it would amount to 2 million barrels of toxic water being dumped into Guyana's ocean, which can leave significant environmental damage, placing marine life and ecosystems at peril. And moving on, anti-corruption watchdog Global Witness recently rescinded its damning signed-away report detailing how a poor negotiation process and questionable behavior by government officials had led to the inking of a lopsided oil deal with an Exxon-led consortium of operations in Guyana's lucrative Stabroek Block. But even with this report withdrawn, attorney-at-law and anti-corruption advocate Christopher Ram is of the belief that the Clyde & Co. report has enough weight to push for the renegotiation of the Stabroek Block deal. Ram described the Clyde & Co. report as even more damning than the Global Witness report and is one that should have already been pushed for renegotiation. And moving on, the contractor that was awarded an $86.6 million contract for the geometric improvement Hunter Street project has been fired. This was revealed by an official of the Ministry of Public Works who stated that the contractor was dismissed from the project due to delayed works and has since been replaced by a new contractor who was tasked with completing the rest of the works. The contractor was awarded the $86.6 million contract, which was signed on May 8, 2019 by the Ministry of Public Infrastructure under the previous administration. And moving on, four women were on Wednesday fined $100,000 each after they pleaded guilty to the posting of racially insensitive Facebook posts. The charges were filed by the Ethnic Relations Commission through attorney-at-law Stanley Moore. The defendants, Tiffany Green, Lashawna Chester, Stacey Smart, and Glynis Gibson, appeared in the Georgetown Magistrates Court before Chief Magistrate Ann McLennan. The women pleaded guilty to the charge, which stated that during the month of March 2020, on their Facebook pages, they caused racial or ethnic violence or hatred and inciting hostility or ill will based on race. Now let's tell you, a police constable yesterday received minor injuries after he was struck down by a truck while directing traffic along the Houston Public Road, East Bank, Demerara. The traffic rank, Roy Shanks, was rushed to the Georgetown Public Hospital where he received medical attention and was later sent away. According to police, Shanks was struck down in the early morning hours in the vicinity of Rahamans Park while performing his duties to assist with the smooth flow of traffic during peak hours along the East Bank corridor. And now let's tell you, delayed works on the Operation Theatre at the Saudi Public Hospital is hampering the execution of major surgeries and causing an additional financial burden. This is according to the Regional Health Officer of Region 2, Dr. Ranjiv Singh. The hospital, which is the largest in the region, serves as its main hospital, and its services even extend to Wakenham Island and Maruka in Region 1. And that brings us to the end of this evening's newscast. I am Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening. Your nightly newscast came to you with the compliments of Magic City Lounge.
Magic City Night Events trae a ustedes la Fiesta Latina este sábado 23 de enero en el Tower Hotel. Vengan y disfruten de las mejores vibras latinas con DJ Rafael, DJ Víctor, DJ Kinkiv, presentaciones de cantantes locales de música urbana y el DJ más esperado de la fiesta, DJ Carlitos Bronco. Este sábado 23 de enero la Fiesta Latina, piscinada en el Tower Hotel. Para más información comunícate vía normal o WhatsApp al 608-1610. Pégate ya.
Todo bien. Todo bueno. Todo bueno, todo bueno, todo bien.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today.
If we don't get a renegotiation of these oil contracts, if we don't get some of these provisions removed from the agreements we sign, Guyana, brothers and sisters, all of us are doomed. What is going on now with those oil and the contracts, if we allow those provisions to stay there, we will be owing oil companies long after our oil would have completed. Many countries have faced or are living with the same dilemma. Oil is finished and they are still paying out of their patrimony, their resources, not the oil, having to pay oil companies to date. So please, join me, join us, and let us demand a renegotiation of these oil contracts and the provisions that are in this agreement.
And now for a rebroadcast of the National Outlook with GHK Lal for today, Friday, January 22nd, 2021.
Today's edition of the National Outlook. I'm GHK Lal on Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. Thank you for joining us as we seek to close out this week in January. I normally like to close out on a lighter note, something that is not so disappointing, something that is not troubling. But today, this Friday, the 22nd of January, I have to go something with which the news has been awash with for the past couple of weeks. It involves gold jewelry, the Demerara Harbor Bridge. asphalt plant. We're going to talk about the jewelry particularly. First, it was the general manager who has since been sacked. I think that is deserving. I understand he's repaid half. He should be repaid all. And to send a message to those who are engaged in such deeds and who are thinking of helping themselves at the taxpayers' expense, these people should be taken further, meaning those who violate the office that they hold and the public trust, they should be held accountable before the courts. But worse still is what unfolded with the former minister responsible for the Demerara Harbour Bridge, the former Minister of Public Infrastructure, Mr. David Patterson. It's on the heels of the disclosure about the general manager and that almost $900,000 piece of gold jewelry, there were the revelations about $500,000, I think it's a bracelet. And then more recently, about other things like iPods and whatever else. But here's the story. The minister denied. First he resorted to silence, then he distanced himself, then he said it was a witch hunt. And there are some of us who want to give people the benefit of the doubt. Now it turns out that he says that I did get this piece of jewelry, but I didn't solicit and every process was followed and I didn't interfere and all that good stuff. Now, how much credibility does former Minister Patterson have? I don't think very much left at this point. I moved to the board, and part of the audit said, part of the news reports from Kaieteur News said that it wasn't brought to the board for approval. I'm a little taken aback by that. Yes, $500,000, $750,000 for the former general manager, and $500,000 for the former minister. I want to say this straight off the bat. If I'm sitting on any board, and I'm one of the main voices, and somebody dared to bring that nonsense before me about almost $900,000 as a gift for a senior officer, I would throw them out the window. Who sent you with this? Who put you up to this? On what basis is $900,000 for the GM or $500,000 for the minister can be justified? So whoever brings that messenger, you know what they used to do in the Roman times with messengers who brought bad news. You don't want to, as a board member, as a board chair, I would not want to hear of any such foolishness, of what reeks of wrongdoing, what reeks of corruption. I would say, get this thing out of here. And I would instruct the senior officer, I want an inquiry done, a real inquiry done as to what is behind all of this. This thing stinks. The thing stinks. We put people in places of trust and we put our trust in them and they betray us endlessly. PPP officials, coalition officials. When is it going to stop? We have to send some people to jail. We have to take further action. Until the next time, and I promise we'll go to things that are not so disturbing. This is GHK Lal on Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. Thank you for joining us on the National Outlook.
Diana, this is a hijack. Highway robbery. two-wheel block. Oil black, a heavy load. Oil black, a heavy load. Oil black broker, we back to Guyana. Oil black broker, we back to Guyana. Kaieteur and Kanji blocks, they give away free.